Hello and welcome to Stories with Eric M. This is my first podcast, and I'm really privileged to be here at the FM studios on the Brisbane South Side. Just a bit about myself. I'm a tech professional in the energy industry. I do public speaking, and I'm the host and MC of Brisbane Stories That Stir. I'm also a tech mentor, and I have a 15-year-old crazy son who loves lion and dragon dancing. And I'd like to warmly welcome my very first guest on my podcast. Her name is Courtney Eardley. She is known as the Taekwondo Technician and also the social media Sensei as her Instagram handles. And I've invited her to my very first podcast because we've been doing some mentoring together, or she's mentored me on social media mastery. So let's get into this juicy conversation. Hello and warm welcome, Courtney. How are you feeling this morning?
First of all, thanks for having me. I'm feeling great now that I've had a sip of coffee. You know me, if I don't have my coffee, I don't think I function very well. So I'm very good. Thank you.
Yeah, that's lovely to hear, Courtney. It's always great to get an injection of caffeine in the morning. All right, so maybe if I could start with your origin story and who you are. Who is Courtney Eardley?
So I was originally born in South Africa, which is something a lot of people don't know. I speak very little Afrikaans. However, I can understand it, so be careful what you say. And when I was younger, my parents decided to move to the UK. So I was just a baby. I grew up in the UK. I did my schooling in the UK. And this is actually where I joined my first ever Taekwondo club. And that was pretty much when my life changed, and I didn't realize it at the age of 8. I started with what's called ITF, a little bit more similar to kickboxing. And then when I grew up, and I think I was early teens, my dad sort of saw quite big potential and took me out of that. And we transferred to a different school to do WTF, which is Olympic sparring. So that's what you see in the Olympics. And 2 weeks later, I'd been accepted into the junior Taekwondo squad for Great Britain. And a few months after that, when I turned 18, I was also accepted into the senior. So a little bit of me. When I finished my sports science degree, I think that was in 2019, I decided to book a one-way ticket to Australia, which sounds crazy to a lot of people, I know. One of my friends said it was the best year of his life, and I can remember him saying that. I remember the classroom he said that in, and I thought, well, I'm not sure if I want to do a master's in nutrition. Why not travel? I love to travel. Why not go see a different culture? And 6 years later, here I am. There was never another ticket booked back to the UK. And we are sitting here today. And I guess that's, a little bit about where I've come from and where I am today.
Wow, that's an amazing journey, Courtney. So you were originally born in South Africa, and then your parents moved to the UK. And I love how you fell in love with martial arts at an early age, and your dad got you involved in Taekwondo, and then you obviously progressed well, and you're able to make it to the national team, which is an amazing accomplishment. What do you think were the key attributes in terms of mindset which allowed you to, progress to that level?
Oh, I don't think I've got enough fingers, to be honest. Behind the curtains, there is a lot that goes into, reaching that level. So for me, from the age of 8, I loved martial arts. And, when it became a little bit more serious, I then realized there was a lot of sacrifice, when you're such a young age, everyone's going out to the cinemas, everyone's going out to parties. At uni, like I wasn't drinking, I wasn't going out for dinners because, you know, you have an obligation not only to fight in the ring, but to actually make a weight. So a lot of the hardest part for me was the weight cutting. And it's not something you see in the UFC, like they can drop 10 kilos overnight. I didn't have 10 kilos to drop overnight. So there was definitely a lot of sacrifice. It's definitely a lot of time management. I still studied my sports science degree at uni whilst being a full-time athlete.
Right.
So as you can imagine, in between training, it was my responsibility to sit down whilst I was tired and hungry to study. I remember the first year I didn't actually turn up to lectures. I did all the studies online and I turned up for my exams.
Wow.
So yeah, the uni told me I should not do that, but I trusted the fact that, you know, this is my responsibility. And, you know, without the support of my parents as well and the people in my circle, it would have been very difficult to do a lot of that on my own. I think, you know, another attribute is self-belief. And yes, Taekwondo is the passion of mine. I honestly think it runs in my blood. Hold on, brain fog. What was that, Eric? What was I saying before that?
So Taekwondo is a passion of yours, and then you're talking about your self-sacrifice and self-belief.
Thank you. Yep. See, the coffee needs, I need to get more coffee. Where's the coffee? Yeah, self-belief is huge because if you don't believe in yourself, in my opinion, the minute you step on the mat, you've already lost. And I do believe that carries into other aspects of life as well. So if you're going for a job interview and you're going into that job interview thinking, oh, I'm not going to get it because of this, or I'm not going to get it because of my resume, I already believe you've lost. If you go into anything in life, whether it's a first date, whether it's a job interview, whether it's going to do a driver's test and you've gone, you know what, I'm going to walk out of here and I'm going to pass. I'm going to walk out of here and achieve what I set to achieve. You've already won, in my opinion. So it took me over 2 years to even reach a podium level, to even hold a medal in my hand.
Okay.
And if it wasn't for that self-belief and other sacrifices just to keep going, I would never have made it, you know, to be even holding a gold, a silver. So for me, a lot of it comes from within.
Absolutely. Wow, that is very inspiring, Courtney, and testament to your mindset and having that strong self-belief, because I feel that comes from, you know, having not only goals but a vision for yourself, you know, for your life and, you know, where you want to take yourself as an athlete. And there's certain layers in what you expressed there. So one was the discipline. So what you mentioned there, you know, being on a very strict diet, being having to make weight, and you know you're quite you know, lean already. So I could imagine how hard that would have been to try to, you know, be within that weight range and you know, being on a strict diet, which would have been restrictive, and also like it would have impacted your energy levels as well. So you know, when you said that you had to do your studies online and you only turned up for the exam, so it kind of felt like your whole focus was around your Taekwondo training, you know, tournaments, you know, weight cutting. So that's quite an intensive, you know, lifestyle to live as a young person. So yeah, you know, kudos to you. So when it comes to applying that discipline in other areas of your life, because, you know, having that structure, having the support of your parents, but also having that mindset to want to elevate and achieve better things, what made you then, you know, transition into social media?
It's a great question, and I don't think it was actually a choice to transition. I had a gut feeling, I think it honestly was like 14,000 followers when I'd moved to Australia.
Oh,
I was working just a normal job. Like I was jumping from job to job just to obviously pay for bills. And I remember sitting one day in my living room in a rented house, and I was looking out in the window thinking, I have not moved all this way to Australia alone by
Yes.
myself to be working jobs that just do not align with me at all. Like I'm talking betting companies. Like I'm on the phones dealing with people that are very unhappy because they've lost a lot of money. So for me, I just knew that was not what I wanted to do. I sat there and I thought, well, I do what's called a brain dump. And you know that. I get a lot of people to do a brain dump when they start working with me is get all of these feelings and ideas onto paper. Because once you can have a look at them, you can highlight what resonates with you, what aligns with you, and which one do you want to pursue or try to pursue. A lot of the times we have a feeling and a gut feeling and we just don't follow it. So no wonder a year later we're sat in the same job going, oh, I'm unhappy. So for me, what happened was I just set myself a goal of posting a reel a day on Instagram just to see what would happen.
yep.
If I'm dedicated enough to wake up at stupid o'clock to train 3 hours pretty much fasted, I can film and post on a social media platform. So within that first sort of month, I continued. I saw a huge growth. I went from when I started, it was 35,000 up to 100,000
Yep.
in 3 months.
Yeah, wow.
So for me, that was a big wake up call. That was where you realize that gut feeling you've been sitting on is an absolute gold mine. That was the first time I'd reached out to a brand, and the brand came back, and not only did they want to work with me, they were like, yeah, let's pay you. So then I realized, man, like I can get paid to do what I love. I can get paid to kick and teach people martial arts.
Yes.
So I think how I transitioned was just, trying to understand my emotions, understand what aligned with me and what I wanted to pursue. And then how could that look, or what would that look like in real life?
Wow, that is an amazing journey, particularly when you've moved across to the other side of the world. You've given up everything. You've left your parents, all your friends and family back in the UK to start a new life, and then all of a sudden you're thrusted in a new environment, with very little support and probably not a lot of friends at that time. So, changing jobs and, having those iterations would have, I would have felt, would have made you feel quite uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely didn't have that many connections back then.
Yes.
Not at all.
Yeah. Wow. And let's go back to your exponential growth, because if you said that you only had 14K followers when you kind of were in the early stages and then you grew to 100,000?
So when I'd moved, I reckon I would have been between the 14, 20,000.
Yes.
When I decided and I was looking out of that mirror that day, I was on around 35.
Yep.
So I have a screenshot of that day.
Yes.
And because I'm very pen on paper, I also have, it's like 3 or 4 sheets of the 3 months where I've written the date. I've written if I've posted on Instagram, and I've also written the follower number. So obviously now everything's digital. You take a screenshot and it's proof.
Yep.
But I have those papers, and I will never get rid of those papers.
Yes.
For me, I touched them. I'm like, that was the day I decided to take things seriously.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. The day that you decide to take things seriously, because it starts with that intention and then, wanting to execute. And I feel that a lot of times, and even myself, like I have a goal or a vision, but I, didn't take the action to, want to move myself in that direction. But, now if I look at your social media following, like you've over 164K on Instagram, 60 something on Facebook, and then how many on TikTok and YouTube?
YouTube, like 3,500, I
Yep.
think. And this is really incredible. You know my
Yes,
numbers.
yes.
And I think TikTok is close to 85 or 80,
Wow.
89, something like that.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
That is well over 200K followers on all of those social media platforms. That's amazing. So tell me through that journey, and for my listeners, because I come from the world of tech, and a lot of the times, tech people are behind a computer, and I'm being very stereotypical. They don't tend to engage. They don't tend to elevate their brand on social media. So for me, that was a decision that I decided to make, and hence why I reached out to you to want to work with you, because I knew that within those platforms, particularly with Instagram, that is where a lot of the Gen Zs hang out, rather than platforms like LinkedIn. So that triggered me to reach out to you, because I've been following you for a couple of years, and then we started working together. What do you think in terms of your secret sauce? What do you think is really important for a social media presence?
I think there's a few things, but if we look at how common it is to have social media platforms now, like you say, LinkedIn has always been there as well. However, the talk is Instagram, the talk is TikTok, the talk is you can make money on YouTube.
Yes.
I think what would be the biggest thing for me, and I think I've told everybody this, I tell you probably every week, is you need to establish your personal brand. Because there is going to be somebody out there, and there is, that does Taekwondo. There's going to be somebody out there that is a public speaker. There is always going to be competition in your niche, but there is only ever going to be one of you. There's only one of Courtney. There's only one of Eric. What makes you, your genetics, your characteristics, no one can ever be identical to you. So you need to showcase that on your platform. So something that we're obviously in the middle of right now is building that branding kit, that branding guideline. It is very common for a business that I've realized this month to not have that document. That document is something that all businesses should have. It also helps when you look at it to understand your values, your mission, your vision. And we know that statistics say anything that's written down or you see it every day will help with sort of solidifying that. Taking things like your colors, your fonts. If I look at the color purple, I think of you. Yes. If I see the color gold, I think of you. If I see the color turquoise, I think of Taekwondo Technician. So even just the way that humans think, the way that our brains work, we start to recognize things. That's how memories are made, because we put them in a part of our brain where we go, oh, I'm going to remember that because of it made me feel this way. So being able to tell your story, to be unique, is what's going to make you stand out in a pool of millions of other people. I think it's very important for yourself to understand who you are and how you want to also be portrayed on a platform.
Yes, absolutely. And I now understand why the importance of personal branding, because when we initially started, you did an audit of my personal Instagram page, and you highlighted certain deficiencies. So I kind of cringe, and I'm very grateful to have someone like you, run their lens over it, because previously my mindset was like, well, I'll just, post this reel, or, post this carousel, or just post this picture. And there was no intention behind it. But then the foundations of that also for me wasn't clear, because I really hadn't identified my personal brand. And, going back to what you were saying before, Courtney, having those personal values established, what do you stand for? What do you believe in? That forms a part of the content pillars, which you helped me do. But I think the personal branding was a real big win for me, because I didn't even, think about the brand colors, the fonts, and, my online persona, and even like the little things like, my tagline and who I help. I hadn't thought about that. So then, you helped me go through the process. So, it's been a fun and interesting journey.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the word journey as well.
Yes.
Because I think when we first met, you jumped in a car and you were driving, but there was no end destination in the maps. So as you can imagine, you're going like this round, whereas now it's very clear. You've jumped in the car, you've gone, all right, I'm going there today, and you drive straight there. So again, there's no confusion. There's no guesswork. You know exactly who you're targeting. You know why you're posting that piece of content, and you know who you're targeting. So from, I just want to say, like, when we first met to now, like, I've seen such a massive improvement in that as well. I can tell your brain, and we know one of your videos did really well was because your brain's working 27 miles an hour. But yeah, like, it's really great to see how far you've come in just like such a short period of time. Yeah, it's incredible.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. And I remember that reel because it got over 3,000 impressions or something, like more views than all the content on my, personal page. So that's testament to a number of things that you taught me. So having a very strong hook, using the appropriate visuals and cover photos, and then having a message behind what you're trying to share. And that's the point that I think I missed, particularly on Instagram, is, why are you sharing the content? What's the value of this, to your audience? So, there were a number of things which, I learned through that process.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people fall under the trap of, I need to be present on Instagram or a platform, and they will post for the sake of posting. In my opinion, it's better you just don't.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I would rather you take some time to really think about that message and post with intent. Same as Taekwondo, you don't kick unless you're intending to score. I remember my coach would say that. Don't waste your energy. If you're going to kick, you kick to score.
Yes.
Or knock out.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant metaphor, kick to score. And obviously you've had a number of reels go viral. I remember the footage of you with John Jones and doing that hook kick. I mean, that got a lot of views. But tell me, through that process, and obviously you've got like, your methodology, which I realize is very structured. There's a lot of things you do for a reason. Can you maybe share, some of your tips to be able to generate that high level of engagement?
I think it does go down to that structure.
Yep.
And we know, I'm still guilty of it sometimes. There is always new technology coming out, which means it's kind of like, have you seen the film Up where the dogs go, squirrel, squirrel? And he's like looking all over the place. There's always something that's going to grab our attention. But if something is working, and we have, honestly, go back to just writing a checklist. I said to you, have an idea, have a concept. Okay, right, we're going to take that, and we've got steps now to follow. Whether that is turning that concept into a hook, making sure there is a message, clearly going, okay, this is targeting who, and what do you want them to do with it? Are you wanting them to like it? Are you wanting them to share it? So what is a reason? What do you want that audience to do? So if you have a very simple checklist of optimizing your content, it will do so much better, like you said, than just taking a piece, sticking some audio to it, and writing a caption where it's an emoji.
Yes.
Oh, miss my holidays, emoji. Like, you're not giving me any CTA. You're not giving me a call to action. So as an audience, as a viewer, I'm gonna look at it and go, oh, that's cool, and move on.
Yes.
So having that checklist, having that structure is, for me, the best way of staying consistent And also talking about consistency, you will not grow overnight. If you post your first reel and it blows up and goes viral and you know, look, there's probably a 1% or less than that. You have to keep posting. And the way that I describe it to yourself and other clients is you have little red dots. You have a black dot.
Yeah.
So as you're posting these red dots are representing average views, average engagement. And then the one day you post something and it goes viral. So your viral video for you is the 3,000. Anything above that is incredible, right? So you've got to post those red dots in order to have the black one.
Yeah.
But all of those pieces of content gives you information on your audience, what they're doing with your content. Are you converting them? So Instagram allows us, and we don't use it as often as we should, to really understand what people are doing on our pages. So having that structure, honestly, if you're like me and you love pen on paper, stick a checklist on your desk. And every time you want to go post, follow the steps. That way, consistency. That way, you know you're optimizing everything.
Yes, absolutely.
Don't overcomplicate.
Absolutely, don't overcomplicate.
Eric, you're the one. Do not overcomplicate.
Yes, I was guilty of doing that. Yes, overcomplicating, overthinking. But look, I resonate and I understand now why your formula works. So, you know, having the structure, having the checklist, and then having intentionality behind the message that you're sharing. So important. I think for me, yes, it was a learning curve, particularly in understanding, you know, why am I posting this piece of content and what's the message behind it? But then the checklist was never something that I thought about. But then when I understood why you're doing this, it makes sense. It's like, well, you know, this is the criteria if you want to be consistent and have, you know, the best possible chance of high engagement, right?
Yeah, but if you think about day-to-day life, we actually have internal checklists. When you wake up, what is something that you do every single day? On the spot, think.
Yes.
Surely you do this. You brush your teeth. That is a checklist that it's become such a habit that we don't need to write it down. It's not something that we have to like really try to do every day. We brush our teeth morning and night. Another thing you might do is you have breakfast. It's exactly what it is. It's a routine. If you're taking your Instagram and your social media seriously, for me, I don't need to have a checklist in front of me. You know, it's been a couple of years. It's in there.
Yes.
For yourself, anyone new starting out, I would just recommend write it down until it becomes just as easy as brushing your teeth.
Yes.
Then what becomes a little bit challenging is adaptability, because like I say, there's always new technologies. Instagram bring out new features. So once you have that checklist and you're consistent, then you can start diving into, maybe let me try this new feature and see what it does, like a trial reel. Trial reels are amazing for that. So yeah, if it's not something that comes naturally, write it down.
Yes.
And stare at it.
Yes. Yeah. Write it down and stare at it. So important. Yeah. Amazing piece of advice. And obviously, because you're posting content which is quite educational in nature, particularly of techniques, of, you know, training procedures and, you know, just highlights, which are obviously, you know, very catchy. Tell me, like, you know, how, since you've evolved, what is the longer term strategy in terms of your social media platforms?
That's a great question. It's something I've been toying with this week, so don't hold me to anything.
Okay. Yeah.
For me, the biggest thing now is really growing that community. And yes, I've got 200,000 followers.
Yeah.
However, you've also got to understand people follow you for different reasons. So, you know, I've got people that follow me because they're friends and family.
Yes.
So will you. You've got people that maybe you work with. You've got people that come from maybe your public speaking community. So a lot of my followers, you know, are into martial arts. And again, it comes down to like, what is my purpose?
Yeah.
I want to help as many people as I can master their life through so many aspects. You know, just launched a new ebook, Master Your Mind. It's very important to understand your emotions. So for me, moving forward, I have been looking at, can I create a app? Can I create a platform that is a library of all of these resources in one place? So people don't need to go and YouTube certain videos here and there to find out how to do something. It's all in the one.
Yep.
Whether that is, combining Taekwondo Technician with Social Media Sensei, because again, without mastering your mind, I don't think you can master a lot of things. Again, that self-doubt and all of those, negative emotions can creep in. So I would love, at some point to have a platform, however that would look, to have all of, my friends, family, community be able to access something that would change their life.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's a beautiful vision, because then it becomes a one-stop shop for everything, rather than, a person, an influencer or a content creator being on multiple platforms, because it centralizes everything. And I think the best example that I know of is Kayla Itzane's. Initially, when she was doing her videos. She was just training in the backyard and, just posting really organic, raw content. And at that stage, like, her lead magnet was, just selling PDFs, from her Instagram page.
Yep.
But then, due to her massive growth and her following, she built an app or a platform and then sold it for like, $200 million or something. So it just goes to show that when you have leverage in following, and then you have a brand which is easily recognizable, then people will see money in that. They will invest, and, they will do brand deals like what you've had. And ultimately, you can sell that as an asset. So what do you think about, having those opportunities and, encouraging other content creators to follow suit?
Amazing. I think, it's just brought back a memory. A lot of my martial arts followers, whether they're MMA athletes, Muay Thai athletes, one thing they do struggle with is they only see themselves as an athlete in the ring. What they struggle to do is, who are they outside of the ring? So a lot of the times they have an Instagram, it's a small presence, but they don't understand the impact it can have on their life to look at other things other than, I am in the ring right now.
Yes.
If you look at some of the, top athletes in the world, they're not just known for an athlete. They are known for a business, multiple businesses. They have capitalized from their audience, and they have now, created something where their face is the name of the brand.
Absolutely.
Whether that is taking your millions of followers and creating an app, whether that's, UFC fighters creating an alcohol brand.
Yes.
They can now retire. If they step out of the ring, they can retire. A lot of these younger athletes don't understand, there will be a time where you can't fight anymore. So whether you're an athlete or whether, yourself, it is just, you have to now go, okay, this Instagram isn't my personal account anymore. It's my personal branding. I am this business. My face is the business. How can I level up? So you need to sit down and go, just commit. Like, if this is something I want to pursue, I need to commit, and I need to think outside the box.
Yes.
How can I take this Instagram page, this Instagram handle, and create something so much bigger that has an impact?
Wow, that is, it's a good reflection point, particularly as you mentioned, Courtney. These individuals were known as athletes, competing in specific sports, but then they were able to, elevate their brand or their presence online, through their personal brand, but also share their journey behind the scenes. And I think that resonates with a lot of people, because it's nice to be on the podium and to receive trophies and to hold up a belt, etc. But I think what the everyday person wants to understand is, what does it take, or what do you need to do, to get to that level? So what your perspective on that?
Again, behind those closed doors, a lot can happen.
Yes.
I think some people that maybe have like this gut instinct, or again, it comes down to your emotions. And I was guilty at this at the start. If you're following someone and they're more successful than you, and it gives you like this angry feeling or like a jealousy feeling, that needs to be addressed.
Yep.
Because that is coming from a place of you want something, but you want it without even trying to get it.
Yes.
So somebody that has, built an app and they've sold it for 200 billion, million, whatever it was, the amount of work and hours that would have gone into that would have been insane. And I'm not talking from the moment she decided to sit down with an app developer. I'm talking the years of posting in her garden.
Yes.
So it is a long journey to get to a very successful level. And I think people need to understand that from a viewer's perspective. But I love showing my journey.
Yep.
I do believe on my account, like what you see is what you get. I've got more makeup on today than I think I've ever worn in this year. Because I am who I am. When I sit with you and I'm mentoring you, you get Courtney, you get me. I will tell you my mistakes that I've made so that you don't have to.
Yes.
What I find is that, if you're a coach and you're a mentor and you go in and all you talk about is all these highs, it becomes like almost like a false, I'm trying to think of the word, like it's a false representation of the journey you're about to go on.
Yes.
I like to tell people there are going to be ups, there are going to be downs, but you have to just keep pushing through it. That is how people build a business. Millionaires don't become millionaires because they had an idea and it worked. Like there is so many trial and errors in between. Definitely. Like I personally think, again, it would allow you to just share your point of difference. You're working a 9 to 5 and then at the end of the day, I'm getting these messages at night going, what do you think of this content? Like you're grinding. And if it wasn't, for you messaging me, I wouldn't know that. If it wasn't for somebody posting, what I get up to in a day, we wouldn't know that they woke up at 4 a.m., trained before they even went to their 9 to 5, and then they had a 5 till 9 and have a kid.
Yep.
Like it's crazy.
Yes. Yeah. I think that perspective of authenticity is really important because it's not just the glamorous side of your life, but it's the hard yards, it's the repetition, it's all the things that you do to be able to, elevate yourself. And what I really, enjoyed or particularly like yourself is, definitely your consistency and your mindset, particularly of, being able to improve and, do those 1%ers, which, you're very strong in advocating, do all those little 1%ers so that you can, improve this reel, improve this piece of content. And because the next time you show up, you've made this mistake, you've gotten a lot better, and then you've advanced from that 1%, which, as you mentioned, over a period of time will really, accelerate your growth and, build a really strong and compelling personal brand.
Yeah, those 1%, that is the growth. I don't care if you're growing 1% or 3% and then you go back down to 1%. Again, in one of the modules, I have a diagram, and growth doesn't look like this. Growth can sometimes look like this. However, your starting point is still here and the ending point is here. What happens in between doesn't matter what it looks like, as long as you're showing up every day and you're consistent. And those 1%ers, and this is why accountability partners are great, right?
Yes.
Because I've given you a hell of a lot of tasks to do in a short period of time. Is it possible? Absolutely. If I left you on your own to do it, I can guarantee it would have taken you 6 months. Because life gets in the way. However, having somebody by your side every single step of the way, and if you don't understand something, man, like instead of Googling it, you just ask me, I'll go, hey, here we go. I'll send you a voice recording. So it can save you a lot of time. 1%ers will add up in everything you do in life.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that is a real key to mastery is having someone who's been on that journey and someone to keep you accountable. And I know for me, because, life gets in the way, 9 to 5, parenting, lots of things. outside of that. But yeah, to have someone in your corner and to be able to, show you the way, but to give you tips, feedback, which I think was really, really important, particularly when I was toying with ideas and I was, creating reels, like, you were able to, jump in and, give me advice straight away, which I think is really powerful when you're on that journey and it's murky waters, you've never been there before, and someone that can shine that light and, give you that strategic piece of advice when you need it. Because I tell you what, if I was to do it by myself, watching YouTube videos and Instagram reels and, trying to, piece this puzzle together, I 100% don't think that, I'd be where I am now. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely would have taken you a lot longer and probably a lot more headache as well.
Yes.
Because there's so many resources out there. One person will tell you something, one person will tell you another thing. But again, it comes down to just stay consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. Staying consistent and having a structure, and then having different learning modules so that you're, starting from a foundation, which I felt was really important, getting, personal branding elements, understanding my core values, my message, and having a strategy for creating my content.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to also reflect on is one of the activities that you got me to do in the early stage, which I found, quite interesting to revisit, was you got me to explore my ikigai and, what my values were, and then, what type of life that, I would envision for myself. So why do you get, clients to do that, and why is it important?
I think so. First of all, the ikigai is a Japanese concept. It basically is finding your purpose. And I think without that, and I think this is why a lot of people feel stuck, is because they don't know what that is, or they have this feeling that it's out there somewhere. If you are, and I call it the dream day in the life, I get people to journal what their life would look like the minute they wake up. What are they doing? Who are they with? When you have that in front of you, and even if you were to do it every month, you'll start seeing, oh, well, I want this sort of life, but I'm living a completely different life.
Yes.
So you can start to sort of see the discrepancies, and you can also highlight maybe certain things that are not aligning with the life that you want. If you say you want to be fit and healthy and you're drinking and you're eating out 5 times a week, cross it out, change it. And you can change that by changing your habits.
Yep.
So yeah, it's very important, I think, to sit down, brain dump, write down, what you can vision your life to be like, and then look at your current life like this and be like, it's not marrying up. So what needs to change?
Yeah, so important. And as you said, Courtney, like marrying up, this is the current, this is the vision for the future, and then finding ways to bridge that gap, or just cutting out non-value activities. But what I found really empowering for me is, I had the opportunity to reflect and say, hey, look, this is what I want for myself, and maybe these are the vehicles or things that I can do to get myself there. So that was an empowering tool, just to, get myself thinking about my future. So yes, that was, a really great exercise to do at the start.
Yeah, it's something that I still do. If I wake up one day and everybody feels a little bit lost, I will do exactly the same activity and just go, you know what? You're actually on the right path.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the time of the month. Maybe you're hungry. Maybe you're tired. Okay. But you can do, the same activity. Doesn't matter where you are in life. And if you do that activity, you'll be able to really understand, like, either you're on the right path or you need to change something.
Yes. Yeah, wonderful. Great words of wisdom. Now I'm going to turn the tables, and I've asked and I've peppered you with many, many questions. Now you get to ask me 3 questions, whatever you like.
Okay, 3 questions.
Yeah.
All right. So we've been working together. It's going to be coming up 3 months.
Yes.
I'll wipe my tears.
Yeah.
Next week. What have you found most valuable from investing in your future, investing in maybe an accountability or a mentor? What have you found most valuable?
Yeah, I think for me is just having that accelerated knowledge at my fingertips. That has been by far the most invaluable investment, because like I said before, if I was to do this by myself, like trying to YouTube and fiddle around with content and not having somebody critique it and really question what my motives behind that, then I'd be like at this level of growth, and it just would not see any potential to elevate my brand, and it just wouldn't have consistency. So for me, like I mentor other young IT professionals, and they ask me questions because I've had the experience, and you've got the experience, you've got the know-how, and then you've got the formula and the structure. And I think that is super powerful for anyone that wants to, grow their content or elevate their personal brand on various platforms.
Okay. My second question. With the knowledge that you have now and everything that we've learned over the mastery, what would you say is your biggest goals in the upcoming future?
Okay. For me, it's definitely growing my personal brand and having presence on social media, and it's not from a vain or, an individualistic perspective. One of the other activities that I've involved in is Stories That Stir. So it's my way of being able to give back to the community, finding and curating a lineup of storytellers. And what I've found, Courtney, is that people don't have a platform to share their journeys or their stories. And I feel that this is an important piece of human connection, because we connect via stories because of the personalization, the lived experience, and the resonance that it has, rather than, reading facts and figures. So in that sense, it's something that I want to continue to do. And I think, social media is a powerful way for myself and other individuals to share their lived experiences.
Yeah, I think you nailed that on the head. And it comes back down to as well your target audience. If you don't have a platform, then how do you expect to grow anything?
Yes.
If you don't post, how do you expect people to find you? I know
Yes.
a lot of clients that they're not as happy with their growth, but they'll ask them, well, how many times did you post? Oh, I haven't posted. It's really hard to be found with nothing to be searched.
Absolutely.
Excuse me. So my last question would be, because you have invested in yourself and you've put in all this hard work and, you've gained a lot of knowledge, if someone was to come to you today and they're a little bit on the edge of, taking that leap, should I say, or, maybe investing in a mentor or buying the course, what would be 2 pieces of advice that you could give somebody today?
Yes, I think, Courtney, is if you feel that it's really important to yourself, and if you want to take, whether it be, your personal brand or your content to a different level, it is 110% so important to find the right mentor, the right coach, because that is a key differentiator to be able to grow consistently. Otherwise, if it's DIY, then it tends to be no accountability, no structure, very ad hoc, which was, somewhat my experience in the past. So, personally, I've invested probably over 25K in coaching and courses. So I know that not just learning the content, but actually executing and making mistakes, that is where the real growth happens. Because, as you said, if you stay invisible, you're not present, and then you're not actually creating and doing things and learning and making those mistakes, then you won't get any traction. So the key formula is find a really experienced coach or mentor, make sure it's aligned with your vision, and 3, make sure you actually get out there, post content, and make those mistakes, because there is so much wisdom gained when you make those mistakes, and you actually learn, and that learning cycle compounds, and you just become bigger and better over time.
Yeah, and I think I think you mentioned, you've invested maybe 25,000 Australian dollars.
Yep.
For some people watching this would be like, holy, smokes, like that's a lot of money.
Yes.
I think that is another thing that, really is a boundary, is people don't understand invest. That's why we say investing. It's not paying for something. It's not like buying a pair of trainers.
Yep.
Investing in somebody's knowledge is so powerful. And a lot of people need to understand, when you invest and you put the hard work in, that money will come back to you tenfold.
Yes.
Like if you work hard, what I've invested in my social media, I can't even give you numbers on how much that's come back. Does that money just sit there? No. Again, same thing. I invest that to do the same thing. I think money could also be a barrier. So for some people, and you've obviously felt it, I think it's really hard to take the first step, whether that's buying a PDF or an ebook.
Yes.
Then you figure out, man, I've just created like $30 from that $7. As soon as you start to feel that, you will happily invest in somebody that aligns with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so important, Courtney, is to make that investment, because you're making that investment in yourself, and really over time, through execution, that, compounds. And I know for a lot of people, particularly for myself, I had that limited mindset to say, if I spent, a couple of K on this, am I going to get any returns? But really those returns, are long-term if you put in the hard work, those little incremental steps. And it's actually a fun journey to be on. So I've really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Just from what you've said, in my head I was going, cocktails here are expensive, okay, right? I'm just going to use cocktails, $20 for a cocktail.
Yeah.
You go on a night out,
Yeah.
you go for a, family dinner, whatever, you're dropping hundreds of dollars. If you have a couple of drinks, you have a nice meal, you might do that every week.
Yeah.
If you times that by 52, okay, that's gone. Yes, you have that initial enjoyment and connection with family and friends, but like you said, the investment is long-term. So if you drop a couple of $1,000s on a mentor, that is a lifetime changing investment.
Yes.
Not just, a meal here and there, So I think, a lot of your mindset can definitely affect your habits when it comes to investing in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely the mindset and being able to, take that leap of faith in yourself. And I know for me, it was always the hesitation, that money, and so, why should I, spend, a couple of thousand, or, should I put this money in a bathroom renovation? But as you're saying, if you're spending, $5 on coffee a day, or, a cocktail on a Saturday night.
Don't call me out.
Yeah, that's right. I'm calling you out there, Quillen.
That's an investment.
Yes.
That makes me money every day, because I sit down and I work hard whilst drinking a coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, that analogy is really important, because it just goes to show, what people value. Do they value, their coffee, or do they value their personal growth? And if you take that personal growth pathway, it can seem like quite a large investment, but over time it'll compound, and then that return in that time and effort will come back.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yes, fantastic. Well, we're going to wrap up this podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here, Courtney. And we've talked about many things like, social media presence, what is the ideal personal brand, and also, on my personal mentoring journey that I've had with you, what's one piece of advice that you can give to someone listening to this podcast who's still sitting on the fence?
Oh, just do it. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that because it's a slogan, but if you have a gut feeling, if there is something in the back of your brain that just keeps telling you, oh, I want to try this and I want to try this, or, oh, I'm too scared to try this. Do your research. Just go onto Google, use AI for Christ's sakes, and type in, I'm having these thoughts and feelings. What should I do? How can I pursue them? Do your research. Is there a mentor that aligns with you? If you don't know where to find one, I'm right here.
Yes.
If you have any questions, please ask me. Eric knows I'm an open book. He can ask me anything. And if I don't know the answer, I will tell him. Let me research it for you. Like I said, if you're having that gut feeling, do a little bit of research, reach out to friends, family, business owners, people that you might know that are doing the same thing or that you would like to do.
Yep.
And just do it. Like, don't worry about what if, what could. Like, the only thing is what if is it's going to work if you put in the hard work.
Yes.
Remove all of the negative self-doubt, write it down and cross it out, and write the opposite. If this is going to work, cross it out. When I take the next step, I'm going to become. That's it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yes. Brilliant piece of advice. Just do it, and it's going to work if you work at it. All right. So for the listeners, where can people find you? What's your social media handles?
So if you're interested in martial arts, it's at Taekwondo Technician. And for those that are wanting more social media and business advice and mentoring, that is at Social Media Senseii with 2 eyes.
Yes, with 2 eyes. Yeah, fantastic. Well, to wrap up, thank you kindly, Courtney, for being my first guest on the Stories by Eric M podcast. I've really enjoyed this conversation. It's been really enriching, and it's been a great opportunity to reflect on my own social media journey. So thank you kindly. And just a shout out to FM Studios. If you want to host a podcast, this is an amazing facility. So the FM Studios have a bonus offer. So for this month of February, if you use the code Eric, you can get an offer to come into this studio and film your special podcast live. So take advantage of this offer. Use the code Eric, ERIC. I'll have the details in my Instagram handles, Stories by Eric M. Please come down. You can check them out on FM_studios. They're on the Brisbane South Side, and Ashley and Ray will look after you really well. Thank you very much.